This is a good look for me. I like this. I got smash leaks. Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a black nerd with a review for you. Better reviews! And I'm reviewing The Grinch. Subscribe, please. Grinch was my stuff growing up. I used to watch it every single year. It was a quintessential holiday special that I had to watch. It was Grinch, Charlie Brown, Garfield, Rudolph, Frosty, the occasional chipmunk, but Grinch was definitely a thing I had to watch every single year. I love that special. So you would think that I probably would not like the 2000 Grinch movie with Jim Carrey, but I don't know, I have a soft spot for that too. I know that a lot of humor in there is not Dr. Seuss material. Dr. Seuss was probably rolling in his grave, but I like it because, I don't know, Jim Carrey just did a really good job as the Grinch, and there are some jokes that are pretty funny in that movie. I think I actually took a woman that I was dating to the Grinch, but I don't think we saw each other that much after that. How the Grinch Stole My Girlfriend. Cat in the Hat. Oh my God. So then I thought, well, maybe when they do an animated Dr. Seuss movie, that will be more like what the Dr. Seuss movie feels should be like. And then we got the Lorax. So I didn't know what to expect with the Grinch. And the big thing I can say about it is it's not offensive. In fact, it is very safe, like very safe. You're a safe one, Mr. Grinch movie. One thing I will definitely give the movie credit for, this is probably the closest to a Dr. Seuss feeling movie of all the Dr. Seuss movies that we've seen. There's not that much irreverent stuff in it. It's not too modernized. And even when they do modernize something in this movie, they make like a Who version of it. The Grinch has some technology in this movie, but again, it feels very much Seuss-like in its technology or has that same similar style. Whoville kind of still felt like Whoville, even if they put a little bit of modernization to it. So like it was a little bit modern, but yet still respectful to the Who culture. It's like a Who version of Wakanda. Whoconda. Whoconda forever! I'm sorry, black people. And speaking of the look of the film, man, this is a very beautiful movie. Like, I watched the movie in 3D. I was actually very impressed because one of the problems I've had in past 3D movies is sometimes the screen will look a little bit dark because you're wearing the 3D glasses. But with this one, it was actually very bright, very colorful. There's a lot of color in this. There's a lot of detail in this. It's not the gimmicky 3D where they're just throwing stuff at you. It's more of the, you can now get like a little bit more depth in the movie. So if you want to have trees everywhere or mountains or houses in Whoville, all that kind of stuff, it's now like just nicely layered out. Like it's a very nice, pretty film. Looks great on screen. The characters are pretty good. You know, the Grinch is good. Benedict Cumberbatch does his job as the Grinch. I thought he did a really good job. It's a little bit more dialogue type stuff and like wacky humor type stuff than it is being like really evil. Like this is like a more like lovable mean Grinch. Like he's never like evil. He's just like, you're just kind of a jerk, man. Like why you gotta be like that? And then you find out, of course, there's reasons why he's like that and stuff. You know, they gotta put that backstory on there because they gotta pad the movie out a little bit. But you know, I thought it was nice job. I think his voice could have been a little bit deeper. There's one time where he says no to somebody and he goes, no, and almost sounded kind of Alan Rickman-like. And so I was wishing that maybe his voice was like down to that tone just a little bit throughout the rest of the movie, because the rest of the time he's all like, hey Max, we're gonna do things in style, you know? So that's a little nitpicky thing, but you know, I like my deep voice Grinches. What can I say? I want my Grinch ASMR going. Cindy Lou Who is actually entertaining in this movie. Usually she's just like, why Mr. Santa Claus? But this time they made her like have a little bit more personality, a little bit more fun. They add a couple extra characters, like she has a mom and stuff like that. And that's some of the more typical family movie type stuff. But no one in this movie I found annoying. And the Who's are actually really nice in this movie. As much as I really like the Jim Carrey movie, one of my problems with it is that the Who's in that movie are jerks. Like they're jerks to the Grinch, they're jerks to each other, they're like competing with each other on who has the best house. The mayor is an a-hole. Like no one is nice in Whoville. So you're like, I see why the Grinch hates these dudes. But in this movie, the Who's are actually really nice to the Grinch, which makes it even more funny when the Grinch is not so nice back to them. Kenan Thompson voices this guy named Bricklebomb, And he is just the personification of like the most naive, happy dude. Like he's the kind of guy that if you were to say it to his face, hey man, I don't like you, I hate you, he'd be like, oh, that's funny, man. All right, see you tomorrow. That's kind of how he is. And so I don't know what it was. Something about his personality just made me laugh. I just wanted to give him props. That was a good character. I like Bricklebomb. The characters are good. The look is good. Everything's kind of there. The heart is in the right place. The problem is just the story structure. There's some things that could have been a little bit shorter, and there's some things that could have been a little bit longer. For example, Cindy Lou Who has this whole mission, and it, you can figure it out. It's pretty much related to Santa Claus. And it's a really cool idea, except they show like 3 or 4 or 5 scenes of her talking about it where really she's saying basically the same thing over and over again, to the point where I'm like, you probably could have taken 1 or 2 of these things out. Also, in The Grinch Stealing Christmas, they do a lot of prep work. Like they show him getting ready, and I think some of that could have been brought down a little bit, because the meat of this thing where it really is awesome is when he steals Christmas. Like some of the things that they do, some of the tech that he uses, some of the ways of showing how he actually takes stuff from people's houses, from the Who's houses. That's like one of the best, most creative stuff that they do in the movie, but it's actually not that long. Same thing with the beginning of this movie. He does the whole going down to Whoville and messing with the Who's, kind of similar to how Jim Carrey does, but a lot of that stuff was really funny, and I would have loved to have seen more of that, but they kind of also cut that a little bit short. So you get this whole middle section of Cindy Lou getting ready for her mission, the Grinch getting ready for his mission, physical gags and jokes in there, there's characters in there that come in and then leave. Some of that stuff I feel like could have been taken away so we could expand more on the Grinch Stealing Christmas. Like that should have been a full act in itself. Like you think about like the original Grinch story, or you think about like The Nightmare Before Christmas and that whole section when Jack Skellington goes out and actually does, being Santa Claus. That is a great segment. I wish the Grinch had that same thing, just longer. Because what they do with it is neat. When the Grinch is mean, and when the Grinch is stealing Christmas, the thing about how the Grinch stole Christmas, that's the good stuff. I don't know what it was, where it just seems like this movie was really on the right path to doing the right thing, but then it kept just being like, oh, let's play it safe. Let's do our usual gags. Let's do some physical humor. Let's do some typical jokes that It's a movie that never offends me. Like, it's a movie that's never doing anything that makes me hate it. I don't hate this movie at all. I actually like it. But it's just one of those things where I'm looking at it going, you could have been better though. If you just would have pushed yourself a little bit more. It seems to be aiming for a very young audience. Little kids will like this. If you have a little kid that watches the original Grinch and that is scary to them, which I can see it. If you're a young kid and you see that Grinch smile or whatever, you could probably be a little freaked out. Then this Grinch is for them. This is the safe Grinch. Definitely going to be the type of movie that once you get the DVD and Christmas rolls around, you'll just have it in the background on loop, because it's something that you could easily pop in at any point and go, okay, I know where I'm at. You don't have to worry about anything too complicated, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with a safe, fun family film. If you got a family that wants to go out for Thanksgiving or Christmas or the holiday season and see a movie together, and you got young kids with you, this is definitely a movie you can take them to. Although there's another animated movie that's coming up that I'll be reviewing pretty soon that I would probably recommend before this one, but at the same time, I don't hate this one. Yes, there's definitely another movie I would recommend before this one for the holiday season, but I won't say it yet. I'm feeling sick. I might Ralph. I'm stupid. However, there is one thing that this movie did that I really like, and I was surprised that I liked it. Tyler, the Creator, does a remix of the You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch song. And I'm sorry, man, I love that song. Mr. Grinch, you're a foul one. Friends you have none, Mr. Grinch. You got termites in your smile. Mr. Grinch, who's this mean, mean fellow with his skin all green and his teeth all yellow, Mr. Grinch. All them smiles, homie, I turn them to frowns. All them decorations, I tear them down. You can ask Max, I don't play around. Ew. Mr. Grinch, when Halloween come around, we ain't knocking at your door. You a bad banana. Mr. Grinch, you a bad banana. Oh, I love that song. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I know it's really weird to talk about a movie where you have criticisms about it, but at the same time, you don't hate it. I know that's very difficult to do on the internet. I'm glad that they tried to make this feel like a true Dr. Seuss story. I'm glad that they didn't try to do something too irreverent, too adult. This is gonna be like an animated version of the book, but just a little bit safer and softer. I just feel like you didn't have to be that soft. You could have been just a little bit edgier. Not too crazy, just a we got a little feisty in us. So does this help you? Do you want to see the Grinch? Let me know in the comments. If you're new here, please subscribe and also ring that notification so you can be part of my squad by the bell. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000, Mr. Grinch. You really are here. You're a bad banana. This ain't Halloween, we ain't knocking at your door. Mr. Grinch.